everyone. Welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So this week, it all started with this Med AI capsule newsletter that popped up in my inbox. I don't know about you, but my inbox is like flooded with AI stuff lately. But this one is always tacked with good stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty much the who's who and what's what of AI in medicine. All the big breakthroughs, the interesting companies, all that.
Exactly. So we're gonna try to unpack some of the highlights, give you a sense of what's got us excited, and maybe a few things to keep an eye on.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so first up, and this is a big one, the FDA. They finally dropped those draft guidelines for AI-enabled medical devices. You know, the ones we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, huge implications here. I mean, this isn't just about regulating the devices themselves. It's about, like, baking safety and innovation into the entire process, from the initial design all the way through, like years after a device is out there being used.
So they're basically saying, hey, developers, you got to be thinking about safety from day one. It's not an afterthought.
Exactly. And it's especially important with AI because you have all these unique risks, like, bias in the algorithms, which, could end up disadvantaging certain patients unfairly.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, the FDA is actually encouraging public feedback on these
Oh,
guidelines.
that's right. They're even doing these webinars to get everyone up to speed.
Yeah, so if you're out there thinking, hey, this is going to impact me, whether as a patient or maybe you're, thinking about developing AI in the future, this is your chance. Go make your voice heard.
Really speaks to the FDA's commitment to transparency, which is like super important in a field that's changing as fast as this one.
Right. It's like the Wild West out there.
Totally. And speaking of innovation, there's also some really cool stuff happening at the Mayo Clinic. They're always pushing the boundaries, especially when it comes to like AI and precision medicine.
Oh, yeah, the Mayo Clinic. What have they got going on this time?
Well, they're using this AI platform called Chatter AWD. It's from a company called Atropos Health. And basically what it does is it gives doctors access to this massive library of like real-world healthcare data, all peer-reviewed. It's like having all of that knowledge right there at your fingertips during a patient consultation.
So it's taking all that research and putting it directly into practice. That's got to be huge for patient care.
Absolutely. And not just for like individual patients. It also means that research and development can happen way faster, leading to more personalized and effective treatments down the line.
So we've got the FDA focused on safety and the Mayo Clinic pushing the boundaries of what's possible. What else? Oh, this one. Okay, this one caught my eye. Robots, virtual health coaching, chronic kidney disease.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot to unpack there.
It does, but there's this fascinating study. It's in the Journal of Medical Internet Research, and they basically took 30 patients with chronic kidney disease, CKD, and they divided them into two groups. So one group, they got the standard care, business as usual. But the other group, they got coaching from an interactive robot.
A robot, like a real robot.
A real robot. And the results were actually pretty amazing. The patients who had the robot coach, they showed like significant improvement in their understanding of CKD. And not just like the science of it, but also like how to manage their condition, how to make those day-to-day choices that really impact their health.
Wow, so they're using AI to empower patients to like take charge of their own care. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And especially with CKD, it's such a condition where ongoing management, lifestyle choices, they make such a huge difference. Imagine if this kind of personalized coaching became like standard care. It could be a game changer.
Yeah, it could really take some of the pressure off healthcare professionals too. Free them up to focus on those really complex cases while the AI helps with, patient education and the more routine stuff.
It makes you wonder, could we see this, these robot health coaches for other chronic conditions, diabetes, heart disease? The possibilities they're endless.
Totally. And it's not just about the robots, right? This study, it really highlights the potential of AI to make healthcare more efficient and accessible for everyone.
Okay, before we get too carried away with robot doctors, there's a bunch of other interesting news and research in this newsletter. A lot of it's kind of rapid fire, but let's hit a few highlights.
Sure, sounds good.
So the DoD, the Department of Defense, they had this successful pilot program using AI chatbots in, get this, military medicine.
Wow. That's like straight out of a sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
Having an AI providing medical guidance in the middle of a battlefield.
I know, right? And then on the other side of the world, China is launching its first research institute dedicated to like quantum computing and data medicine.
They're definitely not messing around when it comes to AI and healthcare. It's pretty mind-blowing how much is happening all at once.
It is. And then there's this research on using, and this one I have to admit went over my head a little bit, but it's called explainable AI. And they're using it to try to identify the optimal size of ovarian follicles during IVF.
Oh, yeah, explainable AI. That's a hot topic right now.
Hmm.
Basically, it's all about making sure that AI doesn't just spit out an answer, but it can actually, like, show its work, explain the reasoning behind its decisions.
So in the case of IVF, the AI is not just saying, like, this follicle is the best. It's saying, here's why I think this one's the best, which can be super valuable for the doctors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And in this case, it could potentially lead to higher live birth rates, which, I mean, talk about using AI for a really delicate and important process.
Right. But of course, it's not all, everyone's not thrilled about the rise of AI in healthcare. The newsletter also mentioned a study that found, like, a lot of mixed feelings among consumers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, people are understandably concerned about, is their data being handled responsibly? Is AI going to, like, dehumanize healthcare?
Right. It's a reminder that technology, it's only as good as the intentions behind it. We got to make sure AI is being developed and used in a way that benefits everyone. Speaking of which, the newsletter also had this, like, spotlight on this company that's doing some really cool stuff with AI.
Oh, yeah, Heidi Health, right?
Yeah, Heidi Health. They're using AI to create, like, a real-time medical scribe. So it can do things like transcribe patient visits, generate notes, even create referral letters.
Wow, talk about taking a load off busy doctors.
Right. More time with patients, less time doing paperwork. But the big question is it accurate? Can an AI really capture, like, all the nuances of a medical conversation?
Well, Heidi Health claims it's incredibly accurate, and they're constantly refining it, and they're also really emphasizing that their system is, compliant with all the data privacy regulations like GDPR and ISP.
So they're trying to address both the practical and the ethical considerations. That's pretty cool. It's fascinating to see a company so focused on using AI to improve both patient care and the lives of healthcare providers.
Yeah, really powerful example of how AI can make healthcare more efficient and ultimately more human-centered, which is, I think, what we all want to see.
Okay, so wow, we've covered a lot of ground already, from FDA guidelines to robot doctors, cutting-edge research. It's clear that AI is, like, rapidly changing the landscape of medicine.
And it's only going to accelerate from here. What's really striking to me is how AI is, like, touching every aspect of healthcare, from diagnosis and treatment to administration and patient education. It's a total paradigm shift.
Absolutely. Feels like we're standing on the edge of a new era in medicine. But with all this excitement, it's important to remember, AI, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or ill. So true. As we move forward, we gotta have these open conversations about the ethical implications, to make sure that AI is used responsibly and for the benefit of all. It's really is amazing to think about, all the ways AI is changing medicine.
Yeah.
But we can't just focus on the shiny new toys.
Right. Like we were saying, not everyone's, totally on board with this whole AI thing. And it's understandable. There's some real concerns out there.
Yeah, and one of the big ones is, like, will AI actually make healthcare more equitable, or could it actually end up widening those gaps that already exist? Like,
Sure.
if access to these cutting edge technologies is limited to certain groups, it could actually make things worse.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
Huh.
We got to make sure that everyone benefits from these advancements, not just the folks who already have access to the best healthcare. It's about making healthcare fairer, period. Absolutely. And then there's the whole question of what happens to the healthcare workforce. I mean, you see all these headlines about AI replacing doctors and nurses, but I think that's way too simplistic.
Right. It's not like, the robots are going to march in and take over the hospitals overnight. The reality is a lot more nuanced.
Exactly. It's more about, like, a collaboration. AI can handle a lot of those repetitive tasks, the data crunching,
Mm.
which frees up doctors and nurses to focus on the things that only humans can do, like
Yeah.
providing compassionate care, building relationships with their patients, making those really complex decisions that require, like, human intuition and empathy.
It's about augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them, which actually brings up an interesting point. If AI is going to be working alongside healthcare professionals, how do we actually prepare the workforce for this? Like, do we need to rethink medical education entirely?
We definitely need to start incorporating AI into the curriculum like yesterday. Medical schools, nursing programs, they need to make sure that future healthcare professionals are comfortable working with these tools, understand their limitations.
Right. It's not just about knowing how to use the technology. It's about, being able to critically evaluate it, recognizing potential biases, all that.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the new folks coming in. We also need to make sure that current healthcare providers have access to continuing education so they can, stay on top of all this rapid change. It's a learning process for everyone.
And let's not forget about the patients. They need to be educated too. How is AI being used in their care? What does it mean for their privacy? Transparency is huge here.
Couldn't agree more. We need to demystify AI for patients, explain how it can actually benefit them and address any concerns they have. It's about making sure that patients feel empowered, not overwhelmed.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the potential downsides, but let's shift gears a bit and focus on the positive for a minute. What are some of the big opportunities that AI presents?
Well, one area where AI has just enormous potential is in improving access to care, especially for folks in underserved or remote areas.
Hmm.
Imagine being able to connect with a specialist through an AI-powered telehealth platform, no matter where you live.
That could be a game changer, especially for people who, don't have easy access to specialized care. It could really help level the playing field.
Exactly. And AI could also play a big role in shifting towards a more preventative approach to healthcare. By analyzing huge amounts of data, AI algorithms can identify those individuals who are at high risk for certain diseases, which allows for early intervention and potentially even preventing serious health problems down the line.
Right. So it's not just about treating people when they're already sick. It's about, identifying those potential problems before they even arise.
And then, of course, there's the potential for AI to personalize treatment plans, like based on your individual genetic makeup, your lifestyle, your environmental factors. It's about moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach and tailoring treatments to each patient's specific needs.
It's the dream of precision medicine, using all the data we have to create these truly individualized treatment plans that are more effective and have fewer side effects.
Exactly. But even as we get excited about all these possibilities, we got to stay grounded.
Yeah.
AI is still a relatively new tool in healthcare. There are going to be bumps in the road.
Right. We can't just, blindly trust the machines. We need to be realistic about the potential for errors, the need for human oversight, all that.
We got to be careful about overhyping AI and setting these unrealistic expectations. It's a powerful tool, but it's not magic.
But even with those caveats, it's clear that AI has the potential to really change healthcare in some pretty amazing ways.
It's an exciting time to be following this field. It's going to be fascinating to see how things unfold, over the next few years.
I agree. And I think the most important thing is that everyone is involved in this conversation. Healthcare professionals, researchers, policymakers, and of course the patients themselves. We all have a stake in shaping the future of AI in medicine.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture, the potential benefits, the challenges, all that. But let's get a little more specific. Let's talk about AI-powered medical devices.
Yeah, this is where things start to get like really tangible. These aren't just ideas anymore. These are actual devices being used in hospitals and clinics, making a difference in how we diagnose and treat patients.
So for folks who, maybe haven't seen these devices in action, can you give us a sense of like what they look like, how they work? Paint us a picture. Okay, so think of it this way. AI algorithms, they're like these superpower detectives. They can analyze massive amounts of data, medical images, patient records, genetic information, all that. And they can spot these subtle patterns, these things that might be invisible to the human eye.
So it's like having an extra set of eyes, but these eyes can process information at a scale and speed that we could only dream of.
Exactly. And this ability to analyze data, it's being applied to all sorts of medical devices. Like one area that's really taking off is medical imaging. Imagine an AI that can, look at an X-ray or a CT scan and flag a potential tumor or a fracture.
Yeah.
Helping radiologists make faster, more accurate diagnoses.
That's incredible, especially when you think about those time-sensitive situations, where every minute counts. Are there other areas where we're seeing these AI-powered devices making a big impact?
Oh, absolutely. Wearable devices are huge right now. Those fitness trackers, smartwatches, all that. But now they're using AI to like monitor your vital signs, track your activity levels, even detect early warning signs of potential health problems.
So it's like having like a personalized health coach right there on your wrist.
Pretty much. And it's not just about monitoring. There are AI-powered devices being used for treatment too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, robotic surgery is one area that's really exciting. These AI-assisted robots, they can perform these incredibly complex procedures with amazing precision, which means less invasive surgery, faster recovery times for patients.
It really does feel like we're living in the future sometimes. But with all these advancements, we got to ask the tough questions. Like, what are some of the challenges we need to be thinking about?
Well, first and foremost, safety. I mean, we have to be absolutely sure that these AI-powered devices are reliable, that they're accurate, and that they won't, put patients at risk. That means rigorous testing, validation, ongoing monitoring, all of that.
So it's not just about, making the coolest gadget. It's about making sure it's safe and effective.
Exactly. And then, we have to keep those ethical considerations in mind. The things we've been talking about throughout this whole deep dive, data privacy, making sure that AI isn't exacerbating those existing health disparities.
It's a lot to juggle. But these are conversations we got to have now, as this technology is evolving so rapidly.
Yeah, the decisions we make today, they're going to shape the future of AI in medicine. And it's not just up to the experts, it's a shared responsibility. Healthcare professionals, researchers, policymakers, and most importantly, the patients themselves. We all have a role to play.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive. It's been quite a journey. We've covered a lot of ground. The latest news, the research, the potential benefits, the challenges, all of it.
And hopefully our listeners are walking away with a better understanding of this whole world of AI in medicine. It's complex, it's rapidly changing, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Absolutely. The key takeaway, I think, is that AI has the potential to really revolutionize healthcare, but we have to approach it thoughtfully, ethically, and always with a focus on making sure that it benefits everyone.
Well said. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's up to us to make sure that we're using it wisely to create a healthier and more equitable world.
I think that's a perfect place to end it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone, and until next time, stay curious.